Could a big-time trade be coming our way as Vikings fans? What's going on, guys? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I want to talk about the latest trade rumors around 3 players that could be on the trade block before the start of the regular season, and then telling you guys how I think they could potentially fit with this Vikings final 53-man roster that just got dropped yesterday. But those 3 players are Jameis Winston, Adam Thielen, and a running back, Javonte Williams. But before we dive into that, we actually are first chance to unveil our sub battle for week 1. We are starting it today, and we are taking on a powerhouse here at Chat Sports, the New York Giants channel. Right now it's 0-0. So if you guys haven't already, hit that sub button. Don't miss a thing around your Minnesota Vikings. We'll be having injury updates around Jordan Addison next week, which you guys cannot miss. If you guys just want to stay up to date around your favorite football team, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's talk about Jameis Winston here first. As you know, we were getting reports out of Cleveland that they could be looking to deal their backup quarterbacks, them being Jameis Winston or Tyler Huntley. And with the Minnesota Vikings, having an okay backup quarterback in Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall, I thought it should be something that we all talk about. And actually, the Vikings got linked by a Browns insider, Mary Kay Cabot, when she said this: with several teams, including the Vikings and Chargers, looking for quality backup quarterbacks this season, both Winston and Huntley could draw interest. Now, Jameis Winston, he has not lived up to the hype of being, the top 2 pick in the NFL draft years ago. But, he spent some time in New Orleans under Sean Payton, which I think was key on his development, as Sean Payton's one of the best quarterback whisperers we have in the NFL, even though I'm not the biggest fan of him, as, most Vikings fans aren't. But, he has done wonders with every quarterback he has touched. And, Jameis, he had that infamous 30 touchdown, 30 interception season. So I think automatically people are just like, no, get Jameis Winston off my football team. However, I am all in on bringing in Jameis Winston. Now, it would obviously have to come down to the right trade package, with the Vikings having very limited draft capital next season, only owning 3 picks in the entire 7-round draft. They have a first and they have a 5th, and then they're most likely going to get a conditional 5th for losing Kirk Cousins, KJ Osborne, and Danielle Hunter this past offseason. But in terms of trading for Jameis Winston, I am all in on him being the backup quarterback. And here's why. If anything were to happen to Sam Darnold, whether that's injuries or if he just goes out there week 1 and he throws 3 interceptions and he is the reason that the Vikings lose that football game, I would much rather have the Vikes turn to a guy like Jameis Winston over Nick Mullins. As, I think both of them as quarterbacks, we already pretty much know who they are, but I still think there's a question mark around Jameis. As, when he was drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's not like they had a good support system. It's not like they put him in the best position to succeed. But when you look at his time in New Orleans, when he did have a good support system, he actually played pretty good football over there. And plus, you'd be throwing to the best wide receiver in the National Football League. And, this is my argument on, anytime we are talking about bringing in a quarterback who maybe has struggled in other organizations or with other systems in the past. When it comes to the Vikings, people really need to understand this. They are offering one of the best spots to play for a quarterback in the NFL. Main reason is number 18. This guy you see up on screen right now, Justin Jefferson. But you also got to think about it. Kevin O'Connell, he is a fantastic play caller. In my opinion, he's going to go down as a top 10 coach in the NFL after this season. And you're hopefully having a run game with Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler. You got a really solid offensive line. And then once Hawk returns from injury, you have a franchise tight end. And with Jameis, he's got the top end talent. He's got a live arm. He just hasn't been able to put it all together. But with a team like the Minnesota Vikings able to sandpaper some of his, mishaps he's had over his NFL career, I could see him coming to Minnesota very similar to Sam Darnold and playing some of his best football. Again, this would not be a trade where I'm like, we're bringing in Jameis and we have a quarterback competition with Sam Darnold. No, this would be bringing in Jameis to be your backup quarterback during the year, just in case something does happen with Darnold. But I ask you guys this: pick a quarterback 2 for me. I put this as the live poll on our weekly live show. We've gotten 200 votes so far, and it's 59% Jameis and 41% Nick Mullins. But you guys let me know your thoughts down below. Give me a JW for Jameis Winston or an NM for Nick Mullins. I'm not feeling, too strongly either way, but if I had the choice, I would rock out with the crab leg man, Jameis Winston. All right, let's talk about a potential return for a Vikings legend, Adam Thielen. Could the Vikings trade for Adam Thielen? I'll give you guys my thoughts on that, what a trade package could look like as well, coming up here in just a second. But before I dive into that, I do want to give a massive, massive, massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Factor. If you guys head over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 and use promo code VikingsChat50, we'll hook you guys up with 50% off your first purchase and then also 20% off your next month. Now, if you guys live a busy lifestyle like I do and maybe don't have time to, cook home-cooked meals every single night, and you guys just want another choice, Factor is a great way to do so. And, Factor meals, it helps you fuel up with no mess, no prep meals, and they help you actually meet your wellness goals in time for the football season, thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. And obviously with the football season here on Sundays, I don't really want to cook anything. And Factor is a great supplement for that, as their meals just take 2 minutes to heat up, and you guys can start enjoying some really healthy, nutritious meals in your life. So head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 and use code VikingsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code VikingsChat50 at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month where your subscription is active. Give them a check. I'll put that link for you guys in the comments and description of today's show. All right, let's talk about it. Adam Thielen. Could we see a return of number 19 heading back to Minnesota? Well, with the Carolina Panthers adding some additions at the wide receiver group this past offseason, I could see them taking calls for the former Vikings legend. But let's first off talking about the Vikings wide receiver room here. As before the preseason, I would have said the Vikings have a need at the wide receiver 3 spot because of the fact that, Jalen Nailor still had some concerns about his health. We never really saw the emergence of Tristan Jackson just yet. And with Trent Sherfield, Brandon Powell, those are guys you like, but you don't necessarily love. So right now, as it stands, I don't think the Vikings have a need for Thielen. Like, this would be a really cool, feel-good story, bringing back the hometown kid, and he's going to play for the team he grew up, rooting for, and that's how he's going to finish out his career. But with 2 dudes really stepping up in the preseason, I don't know if we actually have a need to bring in a wide receiver 3. And the wide receiver 3 of the future could already be in Minnesota. Jalen Nailor. This guy played his tail off during the preseason. We saw the big playability. He averaged around 23.5 yards per catch, which was ridiculous. He's great at running those deep overs. He's also great at the 50-50 balls, and he's got that top-end speed where the DB's first move is always back with Nailor. That just puts him in a advantageous situation when he's running his route. But I'll tell you what, a guy who I was always somewhat high on, but never saw this out of him. What about Tristan Jackson, where if I had to give my biggest winner of the preseason, it was either probably Jackson or Dwight McGlothern. Well, Tristan Jackson found the end zone in each of the 3 preseason games, went over 154 yards total, averaged 17.1 yards per catch. So you see the big playability there with Jackson. And actually, my favorite play that I saw from him from the preseason was not a catch. It was actually when he took a jet sweep, put his foot in the ground, and got north and south for about 10 or 11 yards. I thought that was great stuff from Jackson. But, my overall take on Thielen, if something were to happen to Addison, whether that suspension comes during the season and he's got to miss 3 to 4 games, or he just gets hurt as he is dealing with that ankle injury, then I am all in on trading for Thielen because I like Nailor and Jackson. But I would much rather have the combination of Jefferson and Thielen than having Nailor and Jackson work out as the 3-4, wide receivers on this team, rather than moving Nailor up to 2, moving Jackson up to 3, and then you're putting a lot of pressure on 2 guys who haven't necessarily done it at a high level in the NFL, unlike this guy, Adam Thielen. And, I'll tell you what, shocker here, Thielen was still good last football season. I thought not many people did a good enough job covering this, and maybe this was just because he was playing with the Carolina Panthers, and, they're a small market. They're a bad football team this past season, But hey, he still went over 100 receptions and over 1,000 yards last season, and he stayed healthy. He was healthy in all 17 games, and that's always something you can bank on when it comes to number 19. And, Thielen, in my opinion, is still a great wide receiver 3. I don't think, he can be that 1. He can be that 2 at a high level anymore. But in terms of just a wide receiver 3, a guy who can get it done in the red zone at the highest level, sign me up for Adam Thielen any day of the week. But, hey, put on your GM hat for me. Would you trade for Adam Thielen? Give me a T for trade or give me a P for pass down below in the comment section. You guys let me know your thoughts down below on the Vikes potentially trading for Thielen before the season starts. Now, another trade target I want to talk about, Javonte Williams. And you may be saying, why would the Vikings trade for a running back? We already have Aaron Jones. We already have Ty Chandler. But that's it. If you guys missed it, the Vikings did end up cutting Kene Wangu, who went to the New Orleans Saints. They also ended up cutting Myles Gaskin, but Gaskin did return to the practice squad. But this is a guy in Javonte Williams who has juice. He's got the ability to get it done. And his 2022 season was cut short due to injury. But in his first 3 years, 2021 in his rookie campaign, he was pretty good. Over 200 carries, had just under 1,000 yards, found the end zone 4 times as well. And then this past season, when he was rehabbing off that torn ACL, he was pretty good also. 217 carries, 774 yards, and 3 touchdowns as well for Javonte Williams. Now, my take on Javonte is this is not a guy who's going to come in and be, automatically the RB1. This is a guy who's going to come in there, just get rotational reps with the likes of, Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler, and if they would bring in another running back, I'm still assuming Jones is going to get 60, 70% of the carries, and then you got, a guy like Ty Chandler is probably going to get that 20, 30%. Then you just need that third running back in there that can just get that next, 10, 5% of carries. But the one concern I do have about this running back group, specifically with Ty Chandler, is right now he is listed as the main kick returner. So I don't know if the Vikings are going to be big fans of Ty Chandler being the kick return guy, but then also being the running back who's going to get the second most amount of carries this season. So I fully anticipate a move will be made at the running back spot. Like, they will not go throughout the first 4 weeks of the regular season with just those 2 guys as the running backs on this roster. So watch out, turn on those notifications, because we could see either a trade or a signing at the running back position soon. But there is one guy that I got asked about a whole lot, and it was bringing back Dalvin Cook. And, fortunately for the Vikings, Dalvin did end up signing with the Dallas Cowboys early on today, which, funny enough, the Cowboys running with a running back group of Zeke Elliott and Dalvin Cook in the year 2024 is hilarious. And also, if you guys remember, 2 years ago on the channel, when Vikings fans were still clamoring over Dalvin Cook, we dove into the deep analytics here, and we told you guys about the fall off of number 33 and how fast it was coming. The last 2 seasons in the NFL, he has been terrible, and I just don't think he is the same guy. All credit to Dalvin. He has had a great NFL career. He's a great dude, but I think maybe the Vikings dodged a bullet on potentially bringing him back. But hey, with this Vikings team gearing up for the regular season, you guys predict it for me. Prediction time here on the channel. Over, under, 6.5 wins for the Minnesota Vikings. Give me an O for over or give me a U for under down in the comments section. Now, if you guys want more content on your Twitter or X timeline, give me a follow over there. The handle is @PatSieps, and we will see you guys next time. As always, SKOL Vikes.